Hello. Hello.
Cerveza cristal. Cerveza cristal.
Hello. Hello.
Blah, blah. Ahem. 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 Alright. Alright, water is over here on the side. Can I drink from it? Yes, I can. Wait, no, I can't, because I... Now I can. Hello, everyone. Hi, welcome. Hopefully everyone is doing JCat. Sorry for, like, jump scaring you with the hello, but I appreciate it. Hey, thank you. Good to see you, JCat, and you too, Shoto and Jason. Welcome. I hope you're all doing all right. Hello there. I hope you're all having a wonderful... So it's Friday for me and most of the Australians. I think it might be getting to Friday for some other people. Jason's doing okay? That's good. I'm doing fairly alright. Hang on a sec. Sippies. Arting hours? That sounds fun, though. Honestly, arting sounds fun. Hang on, let me just... I think I need to fix my... I might need to... One day, I might need to, like, rethink, like, having my, hand tracking being done from my chest. I personally like doing it from my chest, because it means that I can, like, you know, do, like... Because it's, like, the tracking comes from, like, here, which is easier, rather than trying to find, like, a thingy-majiggy on the desk. Hi there, little Incineroar. Welcome to the stream. Trying to shove a hot dog in your butt. You shove that hot dog in your butt. But yeah, I've actually had a fairly alright week. I was actually able to so there was a thing that happened at work for like because it was a big success with the tech team services, and it was about two or 3 weeks ago that they were like, ah yes, as thanks we shall be... Gosh darn it. Also, why is that stuck up at the top there? That should not be stuck there. Hang on a second. Hang on, that's not supposed to be stuck there. You hold on to my shirt while I try and fix, like, whatever the F is, like, why is... So that's the throne. Here we go. So yeah, because this is the, so it's no longer the CPU funding, it's now the featured gift. There we go. Alrighty. Ooh, excuse me. But yeah, so a few weeks ago there was, like, you know, great success in the in like the team or what have you. So there was an opportunity for, so it was for one team, not the one I'm part of. They were given the allowance of also, what's up with my... They were given the allowance to not have to work that day. They basically, like, just took it as, like... I think they took it as, like, a half day. So, like, once it got to, like, 12 o'clock, every one of them was just like... We're good. We're happy. Yay. Good job, everyone. I'm in desktop support, so we're not able to, like, you know, sort of do that. We can't have the entire team gone after lunchtime. So we had to, like, you know, we did a little bit of decision-making of, okay, who's going to take this Friday's one, and who's going to take it on the next one. And I didn't take the one for when it, like, first went off. I then went on break for a week, checked in with my manager of like, hey, I, excused myself from taking the half off on that Friday when you announced it and such. I was on break. Hey, am I still okay for, am I okay for having this Friday as the half day? And the manager was just like, yeah, no, that sounds fair. And so I was able to take today as a half day, which was fantastic. I just napped. I just took a nap. I just went to my bed. I just scrolled through TikTok and Blue Sky, and it was fucking fantastic. Oh yeah, by the by, Twitter is kind of having its fun little annual shit is going terribly and they want to leave the platform. Like, here's the thing. Anytime that they do that, I'm fine. But there are some people out there who reasonably do not care for that's the final straw. I'm leaving Twitter because like the fact of the matter is that like Twitter is like such a huge platform that for some people it isn't possible to just be like, yep, sayonara, I'm leaving, and just going like peace, and then disappearing. If I was a smarter Zeebs, I would have done the disappearing act sooner. But yeah, no, so a lot of people blah 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 blah. So yeah, so there was a number of people, if you're not aware of what Twitch is doing in their most recent like Elon Musk like downward spiral, they are going to be they've announced that they're going to be trying to change how blocks work. So like for instance, you can block someone. They can't see your tweets, you don't see them in your timeline or anything like that. But with this new change, however, you still can't see them and what have you. But if you're a public account, they can still see your content, and because of the fact of like, oh yeah, that if you're a public account, you can still like, view this public account and what have you. There's some question of like, okay, but if they can still see my stuff and I don't want them to, does it pop up on their timeline as well? And so there's a lot of people that are sort of saying like, oh, like there's a number of like, app platforms that want to talk to you about it because there needs to be block functionality and such. But I'm gonna be real with you. Two problems. Number one, Elon Musk has demonstrated, just being able to like just, not give a shit about the law until it actually becomes a financial problem, in which case this is gonna happen for several months, for no doubt. And number two, the fact that they're not just removing blocks, they're just making it a case of like, oh, we're just gonna, public accounts and what have you. He's obviously trying to like skirt the rulings by making it a case of like, oh hey, like you're a public account, you like as a public figure, quote unquote, much like how in the public you don't exactly have a lot of privacy rights, hence why for instance like that there's like this really fucked up ruling in the United States, I think, where in the UK and such like that, where if you are a public figure, you can't exactly just start throwing cease and desists and what's it called? Restraining orders to paparazzis. Like that's not something you can do because you are seen as a public figure and they are following like a public figure. It's like how I'm not 100% certain, but overall, fuck them guys. Anywhoosies. So yeah, so I feel like the block's gonna go on for a little while. The second thing that is a little more annoying for artists and such, and I feel like for those of them that are like, being proactive about like, trying to make it a problem for AI and such like that, Twitch has updated their terms of service in the last day or two, where it's like, oh hey, your news feed and the content you upload might be used in AI training algorithms, which is a huge red flag for artists that have been trying really, really hard not to have their artwork involved in like whatever fucking MIDI journey pipeline and what have you. And if, Twitter, a platform for them that they're using for advertising their work and promoting for, art commissions and such like that, if that's gonna end up like just being like, Twitter is just gonna steal their shit right at the get-go now, and it's more of a case of, oh, it's not stolen, you read the terms of service, you agree to it, anything you say or do on the platform is now, interpretable by an AI bot, that's going to piss some people off. So for me, I've not left Twitter. I'm still on it, don't get me wrong. Like, I'm pretty sure, like, 8 minutes ago, there was a scheduled post about this thing, but what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to make Twitter less my primary source of, like, opening up things and what have you, and instead going to Blue Sky for my stuff. Because the fact of the matter is that Twitter and Blue Sky, functionally the same. You have a news feed that is filled with people that you like and lists that you're following. You can like, you can retweet, you can comment on shit. You get followers, you can post text, you can post video, you can post GIFs, you can post web links, and it has, like, all the, general stuff where it's like, oh, you can block a person, you can use a list to, follow people on that list or block people on that list. You can have, like, your news feed of following people. You have a discovery feed, which is like a bit of a, like, lowball algorithm instead of, being, like, stuck into your home feed and you have, like, no proper interpretation. Because it's good. It works. And what's more is they're currently sitting on, like, 10 million plus, like, users and what have you. And, if Spotify is able to, like, be the big music streaming service when it has only like 1/10 of the songs from Apple Music, but everyone still goes to Spotify, I feel like it's possible that, Blue Sky could be that zone. Because I think the thing that has Blue Sky, like, in the negative, unfortunately, is there isn't a huge like corporation kind of behind it or anything. Like, not corporation behind it, but I don't think there's a lot of corporation accounts right now. I think there's a lot of corporations that are like, do we really need to make another social media account? When, if you're on the internet, there's going to become this unfortunate side of, yes, you probably are. These companies have Facebook and, like, several different pages for the different languages. They've got Twitter with several different country variant Twitter accounts. I imagine someone is going to, in the corporate environment, is going to look at Blue Sky, realize there's about 10 million people on there, and it's a non-zero percentage that are on Blue Sky and not Twitter. We might as well make an account on there and try and post and do the memes and do the, the outreach and what have you. Because here's the like the crazier part of, like, being on the internet, which is, no, like, very few things on the internet cost you monetarily. Don't get me wrong, there's subscriptions out there. You got to pay for Netflix, you got to pay for Disney Plus, you got to pay for Dropout TV. There's a lot of things you need to pay for. But there's a lot of stuff you're not paying for. YouTube, you're not paying for. Google, you're not paying for. Jesus, imagine paying for Google. Imagine if, like, unless you had, like, a proper directory of links and what have you wanted to use, like with bookmarks and what have you. Imagine if someone was like, yes, at Google here, we require you to provide 90 cents in order to access 1 million free searches a month. Google would love you to pay for Google. They love being evil there. They have, like, interestingly enough, Izzy, they used to have this on, like, their masthead or something like that. It was like one of those, like, tech bro thingamadiggies, like, when they first did. Hang on a second. Let me Google masthead rules. There was, like, a series. There was, like, hang on, where is it? There was big, where, like, Google, do no evil. Like, there was a motto. Is that what it is? It's a motto? It's not a... Okay, it's a so formally there was a motto saying, don't be evil. It was in their corporate code of conduct. Following Google's corporate restructuring in 2015, Alphabet took do the right thing as its motto, also forming the opening of its corporate code of conduct. So it sounds, don't be evil, generally apply these words to how we serve our users, but don't be evil is much more than that. The code of conduct is one of the ways we put don't be evil into practice. They remove the motto from the preface, leaving a mention in the final line, and remember, don't be evil. And if you see something that you think isn't right, speak up. So yeah. So look, anyway, closing that one. But yeah. They love being so evil, they got rid of the don't be evil line somewhere. Yeah, but they've now put in, like, do the right thing. But I feel like, I don't know why, but when it comes to morals and shit like that, like, doing the right thing versus don't be evil are two very different things. Because here's the thing, is that if you're telling yourself that you need to do the right thing, some people might interpret that you have to do evil things for the right thing, the ends justifying the means kind of thing, which is a philosophical debate of, like, do the ends justify the means, how far do they go, and what have you. But if you say do no evil, it's a very comic booky, like, you know, with great power comes great responsibility. So it's obviously a case of, like, you know, you can't, you know, go down the route of, like, you know, the ends justify the means because you aren't supposed to go down those means in the first place. But yeah, I hope you're doing alright, Izzy. How's it going? Also, I was watching you, like, so Scribbly, like, commissioned you or something for the, for getting, like, him and Kusaki, like, you know, hitting the DAP, because earlier on, like, you did the artwork of Z and Kusaki getting in for the DAP up, but now you're doing, like, the impact frame moment where it's just, like, it's like that clap moment when it actually, like, claps in and shit, which I think is pretty cool. Can't wait to see how it's going, because I was there during the sketching phase, and it was rather nice. But yeah, where else was I?
Hello.
Hi there, YY, welcome to the stream. Oh, Izzy, Blue Sky, we were on, wrong arms included, much to my grumbling. What do you mean the wrong Oh. Yeah, so yeah, it's you do this kind of, like, I guess this is one of the problems when you do art, is like when you go from, like, one thing to the next and you wanted it, like, as, like, a fluid, you wanted it as a fluid motion, but it's not meant to be an animation. The fan art has the arms the wrong way compared to the original DAP. No, that's fine. That's fine. That can easily be chalked up as that what you're creating is a parody of the fan art. It doesn't need to be a 100%. We totally understand the intention of like the dapping up motion because of the background, the look, the feel of it. The feel of something isn't wrong because it's with a different arm. The burger is not worse because it's a little bit because it's stacked differently. It's still a good burger. You wanted to fix it for Z but he said no, keep it in. you know why he did that? I feel like that's an artist, no, keep it in, where he, like, he just wants the validation of, like, it's fine, if this thing is here, then I do not feel bad when I make the mistakes and what have you. Sorry, I'm just, like, really quickly reorganizing these cables that are sitting on me desk. Ding dong, here we go. Also, I probably need I feel like I need to fix up, like, the tracking a little bit, because it doesn't, like, does, like, a really good, like, because I was able to get it to do, like, the neck turns that I wanted, but now, like, the side to side and the ups don't really do it to as much as I want, which is unfortunate. So, but yeah, I'm trying to make Blue Sky, like, my more primary source. The only issue I have with Blue Sky right now is, number one, I can't schedule posts, which is a real shame. Scheduling posts helps me so fucking much, because, like, for example, I'm going to be streaming again tomorrow morning, but I want to advertise that I'm streaming tomorrow morning, and if I want to advertise, like, sort of, you know, properly ahead of time to Blue Sky of, hey, I'm going to be streaming at this in, like, you know, couple of hours, I need to be awake. I need to be on the phone when I do that, which means I'm either going to be doing it, like, at midnight, or I'm going to be doing it too early or too late. And I'm not exactly a huge fan of that. And I feel like that's the, like, I know they're trying to do, like, a new protocol and such, but I want to know, like, why isn't there scheduled post? I feel like scheduled posts would be, like, one of the easier things to do, because, like, but then again, they don't have drafts, I guess. I guess they need to get drafts, and then from the drafts, they're able to make scheduled posts. get Postybird, schedules post that way. You need to keep your PC on in order to run Postybird, and I am not a subscriber of Postybird. Like, I'm not a subscriber of that. I'm not a subscriber of, like, keeping my PC on, like, all night, because you know what that does? It runs through my electricity, it's heating up the room, I'm in Australia, I don't exactly, like, and what's more is, if you're keeping things on for, like, extended periods of time, oh, you need to advertise overnight, never mind. Yeah, no, exactly. Like, if I just wanted to, like, bang out, like, posts where it was like, oh, let me just put a half an hour gap or something like that, then yeah, Postybird is... I use Postybird, don't get me wrong. I love it. I think it's great because I'll use it for posting to Fur Affinity, Twitter, and Blue Sky at the same time is the intention. That way, like, whatever art that I'm trying to get... Whatever art I get and such like that, it all goes into the right places. Hi there, Sir Dragon. Welcome to the stream. But the scheduling it where it's like, oh, every 30 minutes it will do a post, I love it. I'm not a huge fan... Like, here's the worst part, though, is like, if you schedule a tweet, for example, in Postybird, it doesn't throw it into Twitter to then have Twitter do the scheduling. It instead makes it so that Postybird is holding on to the time, is holding on to the clock and what have you, which is a shame. Like, but I guess I can kind of understand why. That it's not like Twitter gives you the API to, like, actually use the schedule feature. It only gives you the API for being able to do, like, post, comment, and some of the small stuff like that. You're just taking it easy today for work because you already got your commissions quota met and you're drawing up your 40k OC? Nice! Also, why did my thingy-majiggy have, like, a freeze like that? That was a weird one. It's because of all these redeems is why. I saw the yellow tang, and I saw you only getting 10%. It's fine. Here's your cookie.
My day.
Be so fine. Then boom.
Morning.
Sir Dragon, you okay? Like, how many... It's like, so you did the fish, you did the bolt... Sir Dragon, what are you doing? You're not helping.
Pull the lever, Crunk.
No more zeebs.
Nani?
Sir Dragon having a moment. Yes, hi Bookie, welcome to the stream. Sir Dragon was definitely having a moment, and I do not want to go back to my desk. I'm sad. I'm sad. I don't want to go back to my desk. I just want to sit here. Okay, I don't want to sit by myself. I want to hang out with you guys. I'm sorry. I want to hang out with you guys. But yeah, oh, the shakes diet. Good news. I am still losing weight. Woo! So, last week or something or other, I was like at 140 kilograms and such. I've been plateauing around there at 139 kilos. During my weekend, I ate a lot of food because it was like, my last days of eating whatever the fuck I wanted before I was on the shake diet for like 3 months maximum. And so I was at like 142 kilograms or something like that on Monday. Tuesday, like throughout this week, I've been losing weight while on the shakes. It's fantastic. I woke up this morning, I was 138 kilograms. I am still losing weight. I am not, like, it didn't just, like, it slowed down for a little bit when I checked my weight on Thursday, but then I woke up today and I lost, like, a kilo, which was fantastic. So, yeah, so hopefully thank you, Jason. So, yeah, so hopefully as the days and the weeks go on, I'm gonna still, like, progressively lose weight, and it's not gonna do, like, another plateau. Because if it does another plateau before the 3 weeks, because the shakes recommend a minimum 3 weeks on the diet. If they start plateauing before the 3 week mark, I'm gonna feel absolutely shit. Someone commissioned me for an extra large 40k character and it's gone and unlocks something in your head, and now all the lore I've stored in your head is pouring right into the hyperfixation. Ooh, fantastic. You know what you should do, Izzy? You know what you should do? You should go to your local library and get yourself the Horus Heresy books. I went through Horus Rising, and I have also been gifted the next 2 books in the Horus Heresy collection. So
Give me that leg, boy.
no leg for you, Sir Dragon. So yeah, so I have 2 more books to go through in the Horus Heresy before I start asking for more. See, I told you I don't like Space Marines. They're terribly boring. But you don't... Not these ones! This is like back in the 30th millennium. This is when they were doing like their expansion shit. And what's more is there's this like, I don't know why I think this way, but there's like this bold black lady who's like a remembrancer or something like that. And for some reason, like I think she's hot, and she's she's interesting and what have you. I've seen like I've been reading about her in the first like chapter when she's like, you know, with Lothal all and like trying to like, you know, sort of dig in about a little more about him, get what he's like, you know, thinking and feeling and what have you, and I want to know more about her. So, but yeah, speaking of gifting things, my mom gifted me Astro Bot, and it arrived back on yesterday, which was fantastic. So we're going through Astro Bot. So yeah, we're gonna see what it is. One of the few video games that is being released on the PlayStation 5 as a PlayStation 5. You're more interested in the background chatter in Space Marines 2? No, that's fair. Like, here's the thing, is that most people, like, I've heard, like, Bricky, for instance, like, you know, comment about Space Marines 2, how it's just, oh, you know, shooty bang bang fun, when he knows that the Space Marines themselves can be way more interesting. But, you know, I feel like it's Space Marines 2. You couldn't go further than shooty bang bang to get people interested. Oh my god, they're the fucking PlayStation memory cards. Oh, they're really going ham into this one of like, oh, remember PlayStation? Made me realize that servitors are still biological creatures and people are prescribing them instead of fixing what's wrong with them, and it was horrifying. Okay, first and foremost, Warhammer 40k is not gonna have good, happy news. I'm sorry, Izzy. It's just not going to. Oh my goodness, it's the PlayStation 5. I have a PlayStation 5 right now. Interesting that it's the one with, like, the disc in it and shit like that, because I know that they're selling way more different, like, you know, digital consoles instead of the one with the discs. Uh-oh. Oh, this is the same as the, so they did, like, an Astro Playroom or something like that? They did an Astro Playroom where it was just meant to be a demonstration of, oh, look at all the thingamadiggies that you have. Uh-oh, we're losing our pieces. And we lost the case. And there is no, like, amiibos or whatever the fuck it's called. But it wasn't until this one piece of background chatter that I realized they're still biological. Yeah? Alright, so, get ready for this, Izzy. There is no AI, there is no robots in the Imperium of Man. Everything has to be simple mechanics, or there's a human doing what it needs to be done. Oop. Now it's doing the sounds through the controller. Sorry, if you could see my arms, I was just like shaking like this. Alright, come on. It really wants me to have, like, my thumbs on top like this, which feels really unnatural in order to keep my hands here. I wonder how Scribbly does it. I wonder how Scribbly makes it so that his hands are still detected while he's holding onto the controller. Or maybe there's, like, someone that's done, like, a Vignon thing where they're like, oh, hey, if we detect if we detect a console controller, you can make it so that the console like your hands just like follow the console controllers. My fucking head. Why am I calling you Z? You're Grant. That's me, GrantZeebs. It's me, GrantZeebs. Alright, easy enough to understand. The Zeebs in your name is tripping me up, and it's tripped me up yesterday. Oh, don't worry. Like, here's the fun thing, is that, like, it trips Z up as well. It trips up Scribbly Noodle. But here's the problem. I don't know if this is a good thing for me or a bad thing for me, but there's a lot of people that like, when they're talking about me or Z, and they keep thinking I'm Z, or they keep trying to refer to me as Z, and if Scribbly Noodle's in the chat, or Scribbly Noodle is streaming, there comes this confusion there. But, so more often than not, it seems like other people are thinking they're talking about Scribbly Noodle Z, rather than Grant. Hello? Oh, okay, okay. Why was punching it the right move? Oh, okay. Yep. Oh, okay. He just fucked off. I guess we're going after him. I wish my controller could do that. Identity theft is a serious crime, Jim. Millions of lives are ruined. Is Z online right now? I'm just gonna pin your message. Alright, so we gotta go to this one here. The Gorilla Nebula. Okay. No stream today. Ah, okay. I have you all for myself, then. Uh-oh. It's the thingy-madoogies. GrantZ. Alrighty. Oh, it does this trigger thingy-madoogie. Alright, so Sky Garden. Let's go. Oh, you have to, like, physically... Okay, you have to, like, you know, do it physically and what have you. Okay. I thought it was, like, using the... I'm gonna be real, I would much rather prefer the joysticks on that part there, but okay. Alright, that gives us coin. Oop. There we go. Yep, so... Hi there, Masonic. Welcome to the stream, by the by. That's not how we do shoutouts anymore, Morse. You have to use the Twitch one. Nice. Alright, so it won't go up. Oh my god, the leaves fucking move, and they like... Everything looks beautiful, though. It looks nice. It really does. Yeah. Also, you're also reading around what I'm saying, Grant. Oh, hang on a second. I know more 40 clay than you'll ever know. I'm fully aware how shit the setting is. It wasn't until one piece of background chatter that I realized the servitors are still biological. Treats them as flesh, which isn't the same thing as being biological creatures. No, like, I kind of picked up on that. I know the Imperium doesn't use it, there's a whole thing. I'm just saying, up until that moment, the writers always treated it as flesh robot, which isn't the same as biological creatures. Okay, okay, question time for you, Izzy. In the sci-fis, have you experienced more robots being, you know, 100% logistic, no feeling and such, or have you had more like sci-fis where there is the question of, does this unit have a soul? Because like I didn't have like this huge leap in, because like I think that's the thing, is like I kind of like maybe I got to that conclusion kind of sooner, of like, oh no, they're biological, they're gonna have pain and such, and I was able to like sort of like kind of go past that, where it's just like, ah yes, no, this thing is complaining about pain, and it's like pumped with painkillers. I kind of get it. Much like how in Dark Tide you will have the medical stations have these moments of like lucidity where they're just like, why was I here? I did nothing wrong. So, because like the media that I've consumed and what have you, more often than not, when it's dealt with robots, it's dealt with robots, you know, in the fantastical sense, not robots of today. It's dealt with robots that are like, you know, like, does this unit have a soul? Can it like interpret, you know, feeling and pain? Hello? Nice. Okay, so we got whatever you are. Oh, you're just a random bot. Okay. I thought you were like a bot. I thought you were like a bot with a thing. Yeah. There we go. So yeah, that was my thing. I'm just saying. Wait, did I already read that? I'm just saying up until that point, the writing is always true to serve as flesh, which isn't the same. Okay. I guess because like most of my like Warhammer stuff has like, I've not read that many Warhammer. I feel like we're still not on the same page. We might need to do a redo. Okay. Hey! Oh no, the balls! Okay. But yeah, like this, like you've consumed way more fun, like, you know, Warhammer 40k stuff than I have, so you have like way more knowledge of the history and like some of the little thingamadiggies and such. But as far as the servitors go, you're sort of saying that for a time, like most of the stuff written about servitors in the quote-unquote Black Library, because like for the other viewers, Black Library is like the name of the Warhammer's like thingamadiggy, the publishing label, that's it. So Games Workshop has the Black Library or something like that, which is meant to be like, oh, this is where you go for their books and their media and such. For a while in the Black Library, servitors weren't exactly given a lot of details as to like, oh, how are they robots without the AI? And they're like, oh, they're flesh robots and such. You're talking to me as if the concept is brand new to me. I'm saying I'm not read anyone talk about servitors as a thing that needs to go to the toilet or take medicine. Yeah, okay. Sorry. You're as if the concept is brand new to me. I'm saying I'm not read anyone talk about servitors as a thing that needs to go to the toilet or take... I'm saying I'm not read anyone talk about servitors being... I think it's one of those cases of it, I feel like with some people who, like, this is probably going to be seen as like really negative and such, but I feel like some people who are like fans of Warhammer and such like that, while they are like, some of them are interested in the shooty and a little bit of the yes, the, you know, I need to find the quote that Bricky like explained it really well, is that Warhammer can go into one of two areas, which is shooty bang bang with you know, strong green people versus the industrialization of war and its, you know, global hold upon us has no end, and I have no means of escape other than through this war, but it's merely the death sentence and a slow crawl to the end of all things, as written by, like, you know, Bloody Death Fist or something like that. It's like, it's one of those two thingamajiggies. I feel like the servitor stuff, like the fact of like, oh yeah, no, they're still biological. I feel like the servitor stuff was just sort of thrown in, like, sort of as a, oh, why don't they have AI and such? How do they do all this kind of stuff? And someone's like, oh, the servitors, there we go, they're just flesh robots. And it wasn't until like a little more recently that you know, someone's decided to, like, actually go in there with a little more premise into the case of, no, these are people. And, like, here's the thing, is, like, servitors, like, they're just slaves. I think that's what's ended up as them. They're just given the servitor because, like, they can go down to such a degree where it's not just, when I say flesh robots, I don't mean deprived from people, I mean logical, mechanical things that are inexplicably made of meat. They're machines first. They don't shit, they don't eat, they get damaged, they don't get hurt. Okay. Okay. I didn't think, like, okay. You're, so what you're saying is that, it's a case of, like, kind of like more of a Frankenstein's monster kind of thing, where it's like, oh, they've got bits and pieces, and they were pushed together to create the servitors. That was, like, the original interpretation of, wait, no, hang on. No, hang on. Not, so robots not derived from, okay, so not, wait, but, not, mechanical, made of, they're machine, they get damaged, but they don't get hurt. But, okay, this is gonna be a fun one, because, like, you can see what, well, yeah, because here's the thing, is that you're saying that it's like, oh, your robots not derived from people, but, and then you say that you're meaning logical, mechanical things that are inexplicably made of meat. So are you trying to say that the servitors, like, when you, Morris wants to see Astro Bot. Another puzzle piece. What is it? Okay, so square. There we go. But yeah. We're going to need to talk about this further, because I feel like, hey, it's Ratchet! That's a Lombax. That there's Ratchet. There we go. Bot rescued. Tooled up mechanic. His little buddy has got his back. Can I make him sick? Hang on. No. Okay. Any whoosies. Alright, so... Oh, okay, I see. There we go. More of you go in there. Come on, come on, come on, come on, come on. In you go. In you go. There we go. Whee! Yeah, you and I feel like we need to be in a VC when we discuss this next. Alrighty. And then we've got... I should also mention that this is also how they made servitors too. Inert biological clones specifically created to be converted into servitors. Really take the insult. Your spare parts, aren't you, to a whole new level. Yep. Okay, so I've not been given the medium. I've not been given the media of, like, the servitors being, like, you know, just inert biological clones. I have been given, like, through memes and, like, you know, Dark Tide, you know, Dark Tide, Space Marine 2, and just, like, you know, overall, like, just median, like, a few other things. Oh, hey, there's the other one. It's another, Lombax. Multiversal Rebel. Yep, there we go. But yeah, where was I in my train? But yeah, so, where was I going with my train of thought? Like, everything in the 40K is a case of, like, everyone... to some degree is going to be, like, involved in the war, the good and the bad, which is the case of, like, you know, you're gonna have planets that are gonna pay a fee or a tax in order to be in the in order to resume being protected by the Imperium, which also includes having men. if you're a space marine who dies, you're gonna go into a tomb that is going to, you know, still run you like a mecha and such. If you're a soldier and you die, you're probably gonna be turned into, like, the next day's rations or ammunition. If you're a person that, you know, looked wrongly at a space marine, you'll become a servitor. Like, that's the kind of stuff most servers used to be. Yeah, but they are clones derived. Not that this is any better, mind you. Yeah, so I didn't get the medium that they were clones. I was under the interpretation that, you know, servitors were a case of, they, like, you know, if you pissed off the wrong person, like, because they have the quote of, like, you know, what's the innocence quote? What's the innocence quote? It's like something along the lines of, like, innocence, like, doesn't excuse guilt or something. Sometimes you don't need to piss off. Yeah, no, so, but yeah, that was my thing, is that, like, oh well. There we go. There we go. But yeah, like, that was my thing. I didn't get the, you know, the medium that was trying to say, like, oh no, it's not people, it's clones and such. I didn't get like the news that was trying to, you know, downplay the fact that, like, you are going to be part of the war. Sometimes multifactorum just needs a new batch of servitors, and oops, you were chosen. Yeah, that's it. Hello? Hey! Okay, there we go. Nice. I love the fish. The fish are cool. And you can just, like... Oh, you can surf him! That's kind of cool. Oh, hello. There we go. That's another bot. And they're just, like, having a little fun moment. Cool. Alrighty. Alright, so what's with the duck? Can I do anything on the duck? Whoa. There we go. Ah, nice. Alright. Nah, okay. I thought there was something I could do with the duck, but there wasn't. I think the phrase you're thinking of, innocence proves nothing. I know what you were looking. Yeah, innocence proves nothing. Come on, come on, come on. There we go. Alrighty. There we go. There we go. I like this. I don't know why, but, like... What the? Okay. Ah, okay, I see what I need to do. Save there. Is there anything here? Anything? Oh no, I am missing something. Okay. Oh, okay, hang on. Oh, come on, come on. No! Okay, alright. I see what I need. I see what I need to do. There we go. Nice. All right. I knew that was gonna come and help. Okay. Here we go. Come on. Come on. Yeah. There we go. Come on. All right. Here we go. So yeah. No, we can discuss further about it and such like that, because I feel like you and I, like, we came to different conclusions about some of the stuff in Warhammer, and it's a case of, like, you know, BRB, going back to the chat, not to worry. I feel like it's a case of, you know a lot more than I do and such like that. And so when there comes, like, you know, changes to the canon and what have you, like, improvements to the canon, not in changes, really. But when it comes to improvements of the canon and such like that, you have, like, this sort of, oh my goodness and such, and I'm coming in, like, quite late into, like, the cycle of 40k where it's, like, 30 years of stuff I'm missing. And so it comes as, like, almost matter-of-factly to me. There we go. Nice. There we go. Alright, so there's a third puzzle piece that I need. There, okay, so I just need it. There we go. So that's all the bots. But I'm missing a puzzle piece. Hang on. Is it a puzzle piece that I missed, like, really far back? Or is it a puzzle piece that's, like, relatively close? Oh my god, there's fucking, like, dolphins in there? Get a good... Might just need to do it again. There we go. Anything here? No, there isn't. Okay. Seven. The trouble with the books, I think, is very few of them actually talk about the normal living in 40k, which is understandable, because if the world isn't ending when... If the world isn't ending, where's the fun? Oh, I missed it. Damn it. Yep, and then it goes back onto the desert. So there's... Oh my god, there's like 300 of them. Wait, why is there like a little thingy-majiggy? Go back. So now I can like dive back into the crash site, apparently? Hey there, Phantom! Welcome to the stream! I like Dark Tide and Space Marine teams for having those moments where you could see moments of normalcy or where normalcy would have been. I think the benefit for the normalcy and such like that is from the fact that when it comes... So... Because this is what I've learned with the Horus Heresy and such like that. It is very, like, with the first book I had with the Horus Heresy, it has a very short amount of downtime in it. There's always something happening. Even when it's like, you know, oh, we're getting attacked again, that can sometimes be seen as a small thing that isn't fully described, as they're, like, you know, trekking through, like, you know, Murder Planet or something like that. I feel like what video games have that they can offer that other, like, Warhammer medium doesn't normally have the means of being able to do is that you have, like, because here's the thing. There is so much storytelling that goes off besides the narrative, like, oh, go to X to do Y to help Z. There's, like, Elden Ring and Dark Souls 1, 2, and 3 do this a lot. I'm personally not a fan of it being the, like, especially if it's, like, the only way you're getting the story, but there's, like, there's item descriptors, there's just, you know, sitting around doing nothing and seeing what happens kind of stuff. Video games can do that because you, as the person playing the video game, are, like, the quote-unquote director. So if you interpret, you know, images... Oh, Jesus. If you interpret, like, images, like, paintings and books being a two-dimensional sort of, It's about a guy getting upset that a servitor fucked up or getting up on their case over petty... Yeah, no. Oh, so yeah, the, like, books, like, so the written word or paintings, that can be seen as sort of two-dimensional. You have the thing, everything is presented to you, and you're looking over it. It doesn't change the longer you look at it, You just get more information, like, because of, you know, you learning about it. But once you acquire everything, then it's like, that's it. Movies, I would say, or audiobooks, for instance, are a third-dimensional sort of content. You have you have like the word, you have like the you have the visual, and it's progressing. Now it has to progress at, like, you know, a reasonable pace. So there's, like, you know, the whole highs and lows and what have you. But you pausing it doesn't, like, delay it doesn't delay the inevitable or anything like that. It's like, it's just paused. It's not going forward. Video games, however, aren't like a third-dimensional kind of, you know, medium. It's a fourth-dimensional medium because it's got the word, it's got the visual, it's got the story, it's got, like, the progression. But the fourth dimension part is that you, the player, are dictating the speed of the progression. You are dictating, like, where you're looking, what, like, the volume and the ambience. You're dictating all that kind of stuff. You're in the director's seat that normally, like, film has. So this is why I feel like it's a very difficult thing trying to do, like, a conversion of, like, video games into movies and TV shows, is that agency is the key to the video games. Dragon Age is a boring fantasy, like high fantasy, but the agency makes it interesting. The decisions of, like, the Templar versus the Mage is like, that's on our agency. The romance options is on our agency. But if you convert Dragon Age into, you know, if you tried converting its storyline, it's a very boilerplate sort of, blah, 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 high fantasy. Gold! Oh, hey, we got puzzle pieces. Alright. So what's this? Oh, okay. So there's, like, things to do on this island that we'll have. There we go. Oh, hey, another puzzle piece. Nice. Alright, and then what's this? A508. The fuck is this? I have never seen this thing before in real life. And I feel like this is making a reference to real life. This little buddy's got... and he's got Ratchet as well. And then this has the Lombax, and it's got the little... It's got a little symbol under him. I wonder if that means... Okay, so... way more to choose from. Alright, and then we've got... Dual Speeder Garage... Changing Room... Safari... That requires 10. We only got 7. Gotcha Lab. Oh, okay. So the puzzle pieces creates new buildings. It's Rivet. Okay, so the second thingamajiggy was Rivet, but who's... Like, wait, are you talking about... hang on a second, Morris. Glad that you're here. I'm sorry if you got, like, annoyed by the Warhammer. Like, is that Rivet? Or are you saying, or are you just talking about this Rivet here? The other Lombax. Yeah, okay. I wonder if they're not giving us the real names because of some sort of copyright thing. We require 10 robots. I feel like there's going to be a lot of 10... Oh, hey, look, there they are. There they are in the overworld. There we go. Oh my god, he, like, drops his fucking bolts. Alrighty, and then that requires another 10. That's an unknown. That requires a 10. Alrighty, so there's a lot of things that... Wait. Oh my god, that was kind of... Wait. Okay, for a second there, I thought there was a sprint button. Alright. We're gonna be doing... We're gonna do more of these. This is fun. This is like, this one, like, maybe I'm getting older or some... Wait, hang on. I forgot the... There we go. Maybe I'm just getting older and such. I would imagine making any kind of actual direct reference would require licensing because no one can have fun anymore. Yep, no one can have fun anymore. So yeah, so I'm missing a puzzle piece here, but we're not gonna focus on that because we can just grab 3 more here, or we can try and find the 3 there and just go through more planets because we need more characters. Aztec. Clever you. God damn, the number of leaves. Oh, okay. Oh, okay. That... There we go. Thank you. I'm just gonna be, like, forever observing, like, just keeping an eye on things. Being like, alright, where's the... Ah, there we go. There we go, there's the first guy. And then... Oh, I see. There was like these little thingy-madiggies to put him onto. There we go. Alright, so it's just a push thing. They just have a cool little animation when you run your hand over them. Oh, we got fisticuffs. Nice. Okay. I like that they're giving us, like, different mechanics. I like that they're giving us, like, just different mechanics to play around with and what have you. Oh, I see what I did wrong there. What the hell? They just have all these fucking acorns. Oh! Oh, I know what they are! Oh, no, this is a Crash Bandicoot thing! Hey, there he is! It's Crash! Look at me grabbing his butt. Spinning marsupial, not to be confused with a naughty dog. Wow. I wonder who that could be. Ah, okay. There we go. Alright, so puzzle piece 1. There we go. A lot of trees I'm gonna need to deal with. Ooh, waterfall. Is there? Oh no, there isn't. No, there isn't. Damn it! I thought there would be something behind the waterfall. Okay, cool. It got me. Like, just took me back here. Nice. Oh, now they haul. Give him the old 1-2. Sup, dude? Oh, I'm missing a bot. Hang on, I'm missing a bot. It decided to, like... Alright, hang on. I'm rereading my commissioner's prompt and having no idea what in the world they want me to do. I guess I'll have to push this to next week or something. You can always ask them. Ask them what they're talking about. Oh, a koala! Okay, so they're not, like, here. They're not the koala. Oh, there they are. Wait, are they gonna be down here? Hey, there they are! Okay, I'm glad I was able to find them. There we go. There we go. I'm glad I was able to do that on the first try. I understood what the assignment was. There we go. Ah, okay, there's a jumping platform right here. Easy enough. There we are. This is fun. You'll have time to ask them tomorrow. It's not the end of the world. Understandable. Fair enough. Understandable. Have a nice day. Something. Yeah, I thought so. I thought so. Glad I am getting smarter. Oh, yeah, Zeebs is figuring out the puzzles. Alright, is there anything not on top of it? Oh, interesting. Nice. Glad I learned that one. Hey, 3 puzzle pieces. Let's go. There we go. Oh, okay, so they do. Oh, that's cool. Hey, it's Jack! It's Jack from Jak and Daxter! The eco-warrior. Left a legacy worthy of the precursors. Nice. That's cool. This is nice. I like this. This is... Punch the meerkats. Punch the lemurs. One. There we go. Oh, okay, here we go. The double fisting makes it quick work. We got 7. Alright, here we go. Nice! Oh, we got a... Okay, so these must be worth something then, if they're giving us coins. Alright. Alright, let's go with this one. Looks like there's some funky stuff here. Hey! It does... Ding, ding, ding. There we go. Oh! That's Psycho Mantis! Alright, before we go there, let's... My god, look... Oh, it's snow on a waffle! Okay. I like that. And then these are hundreds of... It's Solid Snake! Legendary Mercenary. Was a terrible child. Obviously a reference to the Le Trezabel program. There we go. Puzzle piece 1. And then here. Ding. Boom. There we go. Wait, can I do something about this? No, I cannot. Alright, now I just need to wait for... There we go, makes it easy. Psychic Menace. Can achieve anything he puts his mind to. Clearly a play on... Le Infant Treblial. Yes, that. Le Infant's terrible. So yeah. Oh, okay, so these are one-hit kills then. Okay. Oh, so... Hang on. So do you want me to... There we go. Oh, okay. I see what you want me to do. There we go. And... Ooh, actually... What do you... Yeah, I bet you there's something. Yeah, there's something here. Ooh, okay. Ding, ding. There we go. More coins. But yeah, this is a game that, like, I'm gonna be real. Even if it's not about, like, the tech demo of, like, oh, look at the things you can do on the PlayStation 5. This is just overall just, like, a fun little romp. It's fun. I like it. And then we've got... Ooh, interesting. Nice. Okay, so that's what it means. Alright, so we push this here. Push this there. Ooh, interesting. Hello. There we go. Ah, there's a lot of Metal Gear Solid nonsense. That's Gray Fox. But yeah. Here's the other thing as well. Like, I unfortunately can't like, you know, share like this particular part with you, but like while I'm on the ice, there's like a slight rumble, but it's not like a rumble. It's just a soft. It's like the quietest fucking thing. But then they also, because of the fact that the like PlayStation 5 has a speaker, you hear a little bit of like the ice skating. Like, listen. I don't know if you can hear that, sorry. Maybe it's too soft, but like, it sounds like ice skating on the controller. Oh, I see what they want me to do. Ah, it's like the fucking ice hockey game all over again. Oh, damn. There we go. Come on, come on, come on, come on. Aw, you. Oh, is this it? Is this it? Come on, come on, come on. Yeah, there we go. That makes my life a little bit easier. It's very faint. Thank you, Crazy Bree. But yeah, I'm pretty sure this is ice cream. Although, why the Metal Gear Solid, like, peeps are involved in, like, this planet, I feel like the jungle planet would have made a little more sense earlier. And then, yep, more bowls. Okay, so I can't have him breaking the walls. There we go. Thing. Break you out. Alright, so I got... Oh, no! Oh, I'm missing two. Hang on, I'm missing two. Alright, backtracking time. Where are the others? Oh, hang on. Oh. That was not what I thought they were. Alright, let's do this again. I love how he just does the little, like, quadruple spin. Like, no biggie. Just doing, like, one of the hardest of the fucking, Alright, so now I need to find some snow. Okay, is the water gonna kill me? Yes, it is. Okay. Alright. Yeah, the only other place I can imagine we need to go is, like, up here. But there isn't exactly a way, you know, quote-unquote, up there. And then these, like, meerkats, we already, like, went down there. How am I... Yeah, there's only 5 instead of 7. I'm missing, like, a lot of, Why the fuck is... Definitely gonna explore that again. So yeah, because I'm missing like a spiral thing and 2 of them. This one I'm missing a puzzle piece. This one I got all the puzzle pieces. Wait, how many puzzle pieces was I missing in the previous one? Oh. Nice. Alright, I'm gonna head to this one real quick, just so I can double check, like... Because I want that puzzle piece. There we go. Oh, interesting. So now we have a bird. Don't know why we have a bird, but we do. Ah, okay, so those silver... Why do we have a bird? Sorry, did the music just say Astro Bot? I wonder if the bird is gonna do something for me. Alright, so that was where our first puzzle piece was. And then we use this to jump up. And then... Okay. So a tool for post-clear completion. I think so? It's hard to say. I don't know what the... Because the bird hasn't exactly done anything for me just yet. The bird hasn't done anything, but it is a canary bird, which makes me think as if, like, it is supposed to, like, you know... Wait, hang on, did I... No, there isn't a puzzle piece, okay. I thought I saw a puzzle piece for a second, but I was wrong. So that sends me back up here. Nope, they don't do anything. These guys, you light up and they give like a little thing of dudes. This isn't supposed to be a completionist run, let me tell you that much right now, but at the same time, however, like, this is the first level. I kind of want to know how I would have gotten the... So yeah, so there's the flamingo, which I was able to get. Actually, my life will be a lot easier. Go inside. life will be a lot easier once I have like the weird octopus balloon thing. So this gives me the ability. This makes it so then that way, you know, dunk, and then there we go. And then we went up here. Is it a case of I just need to... Oh. Oh, come on. That was my mistake.
Did you see it?
No, I didn't see it. Guess what? You have you have KFC nuggets. Oh, that's what you were talking about. Okay. There we go. Good for you on getting your KFC nuggets. I am sticking hard and true to my shake only diet right now. It's kind of nice having something that isn't like not having any like thought. Head empty is like the way I am right now. And then we have the three here. Nope. Is it because I wasn't high enough? Oh, there it is! There it is. It's on the manta. That's why I thought I saw it and then it wasn't there. That's why. Oh, I'm a fool. And then that guy was for the... And then we swim up to the top here. And then we got the last of them. There we go. That should do it. But yeah, I hope you're enjoying your KFC nuggets. I hear... I will be real with you. It is going to be a little... Alright, here we go. Here we go. Here we go. There we go. Now we got our 100. Hey! 1,000 coins! Let's go! But yeah, I will be real with you. Going onto the shake diet for like 3 to 12 weeks is going to... It is going to be difficult for... I feel like it's going to get difficult like the longer I go on. So far, these first like this first week, I've had it for, let's see, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and today. So I've had it for 4 days now. I felt tired today. Like, maybe, but that's normally what I'm like when I'm, you know, working from home and what have you. Alright, let's see. Ah, almost got the gotcha thing. Alright, but now we have way more things we can open up. Like, we can now do this. So now there's like 10 of them that can help us with this thing. There we go. Here's 10 of them. And then... we get ourselves a puzzle piece! Let's go! Giving a... So we just need another 4. The gotchas. Man, can't wait for the gotcha gambles. And then... more here. Oh, hello. Oh, I see what he's doing. Nice. Alrighty, and then we have the links here. No, nothing cool happening over there. And then we've got, so we got Crash Bandicoot over here. I love how they just made fucking Crash Bandicoot just Crash Bandicoot. Both of them are thinking like some sort of coin thingy-majiggy. Meanwhile, Ratchet is just head empty. Maybe it's because they're missing a piece? That's why. Alright, so now we call on these guys. There we go. And bam, getting ourselves 2 more bots rescued. Interesting. And then... Ah, okay. Nice. Alright, so that's our second puzzle piece. Alright. Should be able to, like, get... Alright. How many does this want? 20? 10 again. Alright, cool. Alright, should be easy. How are they gonna... Ah, I see. Alright, well, I'm gonna have to wait for them to come back. Also, what do you mean by the J? There we go. Nothing happening with that one. Let's have a look. Nice. We just got one more to go. GrantZeebs. Bam. Alright, let's go. It's random plus 2 a.m. brain. Ah, understandable. Get some sleep. Alrighty, back into the Gorilla Galaxy we go. So we 100%ed that one. There's the opportunity for a Galaxy Fig? Whatever that is. And then, what's this? Rolling Star Stola. Okay. What is that? Himbo Zebras. Alright. Ah, okay. Ah, okay, so the bumpers do the bumper thing. And then there's momentum. All kinds of noises. There we go. And then boom. And then... I probably needed to... And then we got a cat. Just an aspirational cat. Okay. The weird little mechanical thing you were trying to identify earlier almost looks like a Dreamcast VMU, but I don't know why they make a reference to that. Hi there, Yun! Welcome to the stream. Hopefully you're doing alright. I'm just going through Astro... This is honestly fun. This has been a nice casual fun for me, personally. The PS1 had the Sony Pocket Station, their own version of the VMU, which was only released in Japan. Ah. Alright. Let's go for the Construction Derby. Because I know I'm missing, like, 2, like, what's-mahoozies earlier, but... Yeah. Oh, hello. You and you. Oh, avoid you. Oh, come on, come on, come on. There we go. And then you. So now they have us, like, doing things. Now they have us, like, doing things during the space flight, I see. What's up, birds? Oh, it's a gorilla! What? Go. That's the first one down. Yep, that is the legitimate first one. Good. Awesome. Awesome. That's 2. The cat was Toro Inoue. Oh! Who is it now? Okay, I was not familiar with it. Here's the thing. Ooh, hello, 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 and bam. I did not grow up with the, blood, violence, mayhem. You crave all these things, and all there is just cute family nonsense. I know, it's fantastic, isn't it? Alright, magnets. And then, toss them there. I wonder, is there a use? No, there isn't anything else. It's interesting to hear, like, the sound of, like, the feet hitting things. Because it's like, oh, this is, oh, hey, it's a dog. Nice. Ah, so there's, like, things that only the dog can break. Okay. And you can use it as a gap closer. Nice. Alright, okay. Ooh, almost got it. Yep. I guess it might be easier to maybe go around like this then? That way. There we go. So then that way, when I go and do this. There we go. Yes, cool, that's number 3. We're following the right mechanics and rules here. And then if you break, yeah, nice, 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 nice. And there's all these cans here. Oh, so we're gonna need the cans. Okay, 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 okay. Glad I didn't, like, you know, push them all off. Alright, hopefully that's a big enough thing. Yep. Nice. I'm glad they're not doing, like, such huge, like, gap closers. Ooh, interesting. Okay, hang on. Alright, needs to be a little bit bigger. Come on. There we go. Yeah. Ooh, ooh, come on. Okay, alright. I know what we're doing. I know what we're doing. Alright, here we go. Here we go. Damn it. No, 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 no. Oh, you... Alright, we got a limited number of times to try and do this. Alright, here we go, here we go. Alright, nope. No, 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 no. Come on. Alright, so let's move you. Alright, let's move you. Alright, here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna move you into... I reckon this circle here is a guide to where it needs to be. Like, I know this is like, you know, a half-court thing. Alright, here we go, here we go, here we go. Alright, line it up. Line it up. Here we go. Yeah! I knew what I was doing. This is fun. I like this. bell. Oh, hello. Oh, they're all one-hit kills. Okay. Oh, so maybe I need to hit them before they... I got stuck in his bell! That's not fair. Oh, you. Oh, you. Ah, okay. There we go. See, Ratchet should have been on here because of all the bolts. It's a... Why are you defecating? Get off me! Alright, there we go. Oh, not that. Don't... Oh, that was by accident. Oh, okay. I see what's going on here. Alright. That's... So, Love-Struck Lyris. A cool pooch with the power of self-belief. That's Parappa the Rapper, I believe. Yay! Alright, we only need one more bot and we're good. But where are our puzzle pieces? I feel like we're missing. That one's a dash. Okay. Now, do I have a limited number? No, I do not. Okay, cool. Who the fuck is that? Shredding sheep. Why rap when you can shred? Lammy. Okay. Alright, I'm glad I have some, you know, PlayStation, like, connoisseurs in this chat. Because I only know, like, the meme ones, like, the ones that have, like, popped up in the pop cult, like, way too often, like, Parappa the Rapper, for instance.
What did you say your name was? What did you say your name was?
There we go. Alright, that's all 3 puzzles. Excelente. Thank you. The gorilla got me. That one felt good. I don't think that's what they meant by Gorilla Grip. Gorilla Grip is a tape, right? Oh, hey, we got the required 20. That's not a problem. Also, but what are these? Oh, they're just fun little stars, I see. Alright. Smash Lock. Alrighty, let's see what this is about. Ah, Yangi! Alright, we're going to the antagonist of the Gorilla Galaxy. Gorilla Land. Gorilla. Okay, so there's no puzzle pieces, there's just a character. Alright, does this give me my dog? Yep, it does. Alrighty. There we go. There we go. No mucking around. Gorilla. The mighty Chewy. Uh-oh. Not great. All right, let's do that again. It's almost a, you know, do it at the one time thing. Oh, we got 2 lives. Okay, cool. Banana! Just rolling his eyeball. Just rolling that eyeball. No big deal. There we go. Alright. There we go. It could just be a generic King Kong reference. It could be. Uh-oh. Alright, I got one more life, please. There we go. Alright, last life, here we go. There we go, that's all of his teeth gone. And now we just start making a mess. Did it! Woo! They just had those fireworks ready for me. I got rid of a tyrannical ruler. Oh hey! Alright, that's Ape Escape. I've seen I've seen Blue Foxy Nicey Icy playing this game. I've seen him play, like, I think I think there's 3 of them. I think there's 3 Ape Escapes. I wonder why the apes had a little, like, alarm, like, cat thing. There we go. Hi there, Davey. Hi there, Davey boy. Ape Escape, my beloved. Welcome, welcome. I hope you're doing all right. How's it going? It's just a banana island. All right. Apes on the. Oh my goodness. There's just nothing but. Like, it's just got all these. All right, we're gonna look at this place. Whee! Apes on the loose. And right at the get-go, it had me like apes. There we go. There we go. And then. Tired, but you finished all the merch he was doing, which is good. I just need to wait one store to upload stuff. Nice. Ooh. What? Oh. What is the name of the character that does the Ape Escape thing? Oh wait, you. What are you doing? Nice. All right. Cool. So, apparently we're chasing after apes. Are we literally just playing like a tiny version of Ape Escape? The main character's name is Spike. Okay, cool. Nice, got him. So, okay, so right now I'm a guy named Spike. And we're trying to get some apes. Because they escaped. If anyone new comes in, I know exactly what my thingamajiggy is going to be. Barely see them. Oh, there we go. Got him. They really want to just make a new Ape Escape. Yes, they do. Alright, and then... Wait, what the... Oh! Oh, okay, I see what they want. Yeah! Maybe I just want to play Ape Escape. Maybe that's the key to what the like. Maybe I just need to go through like a whole ton of the Maybe I need to do what Blue's been doing, which is like going through like, you know, any of the nonsense from. All right, I need to find an 8. Got him. Maybe I need to go through like PlayStation games, because honestly, like, I've been enjoying them, and it's been a first-time experience for me personally, like, going through like many of the, because I didn't play the Spyro series growing up. I didn't play Crash Bandicoot growing up. There is a lot of the PlayStation, blah 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 blah. There's a lot of the PlayStation franchise that I didn't like pick up on. There we go. That's another 8. I got 3 more to go. There we go. 2 more to go. If you have a PS5, get the Time Splitter games. They're a hell of a fun. I am on the PlayStation 5. You are correct. I am on the PlayStation 5. Okay, so there's one more puzzle piece and we're good. Alright. Alright, so there's a random monkey there. But I didn't find all the monkeys. Okay, hang on. Still your favorite shooter? Alright, one more and we're good. So that last one should be up there then. And all we need to do is grind the rails. Whee! I'm glad that there isn't like a Tony Hawk, like, you know, grind balancing mechanic here. It's just, you know, have your fun. Who the fuck is that? The mothership's memory! And the dude named Spectre. The main antagonist of the series. Okay. Someone sent a message to Blue telling him I'm playing Ape Escape. Yeah, there we go. I got them all. The albino antagonist. The naughtiest monkey. He's a super smart ape. Ah, okay. Woo! Do I have any more Coke Zero? Oh my god. Okay, Morris just sent me the Sony pocket protection, and it's like, yep, that looks as ridiculous as it does in the game. It came! The big one. Uh-oh. Alright, we're gonna have to put it... You rescued the mothership's memory! It's no use in this condition, though. Let's repair it! Too bad you can't Too bad you can't repair your own PlayStation 5. Alright. And they're using, like, RAM sticks, which is, like, you know... That's a PC thing? I don't think they use RAM sticks explicitly. Okay. Hey there, Torin! Welcome to the stream! Good morning to you. It's the evening for me. Okay, this part of the game I'm not a huge fan of, because it's like, I am very much aware I'm playing on a controller. Alright. Now, what are they gonna have me do for the RAM sticks? That has to be controller. That's 1. That's 2. 3, 4, 5, 6. Oh, no doubt. They want me to, like... Oh, never mind. It's a trigger. I thought they were gonna have me, like, you know, pull the thingy-majiggy down. The traditional hammering of the computer nails. Exactly. Look at this thing. I love how you can, like, flip this thing upside down. Ooh, there we go. Alright. Put you back into... Magically put you back into the PC that... into the PlayStation that can't possibly hold all of the... Oh, okay, never mind, it does. That's not how it works, but sure. Achievement unlocked. Unforgettable. Do you need the controller's touchpad to play the game? No, I've not had to use the touchpad yet. There we go. So now we've got the gotcha station. They've been making more and more stuff like Plug to Game. License to Spend is their achievement for that one. The Gotcha Lab is open! Time to spend all those coins you've collected! Aw, that's gonna take a while. Ah! Well, we're gonna have to rescue that. Oh, look, there's... So he's thinking about something, he's thinking about something. Alright, we need like 20. Thank you, bird. I have 40, it should be enough. There we go. 44. 45. Alright, you want 50? We'll get you 50. 6. Another so that satellite will tell us how to get to the next thingy-majiggy. This is now technically a gacha game. Yep, technically it now is, because of the gacha station. No, I don't want to... I didn't want to leave! God damn it, I wanted to pick up more things. Fuck it. I do need to pick up more puzzle pieces anyway. Scanning. The tentacle system. Alright. Next one. The Go-Go Archipelago. Alright, I missed the archipelago. It's like the first puzzle piece, so that's annoying. Alright. Get back. Alright. You know I'm gonna try and get that puzzle piece. We're gonna do that intro sequence again when I have the chance. That's robot number 2. Swipe, jump, swipe.
That leg, boy.
Hi there, Kahlua. Welcome to the stream. I'm playing the game that my mom gifted me. The Astro Bot. I'm actually having a lot of fun. Oh, they're just monkeys. Okay. How's it going, Kahlua? It looks so cute. It does. It's honestly fun. It's just some great like lightweight fun, personally speaking. It's a nice like change of pace from like all the JRPGs and JRPGs and hello. Okay, so they want me to do some physical stuff. All right, here we go. There we go. Give me... Oh, boulders. Nice. Slapping the ground, monkey! Oh, that's not fun. A monkey that's not an ape. Oh yeah, earlier we were playing this game where like the robots looked like apes or something like that, and we like got a net and shit, and we had to like, you know, capture all these apes that escaped. You could make a game out of that. I reckon you could make a game. Ape escape. Alright, full disclosure, yes, it was making a reference to Ape Escape. I was just deciding to be very himbo of like, oh, you can play a game where you're capturing these apes that escaped. It'd be a good name, too. Oh, I know what we're gonna do. Nice. Alright, so I'm missing the puzzle piece that was at the start, unfortunately. But, you know, other than that... So yeah, so we're definitely gonna be, like, running back. All pirate themed. I don't know who this is. The elfin prisoner needs to be led by a hand. No clues. You could make a game out of that. Oh, look. Oh, the dolphins did a thing! Hello, look at that. The dolphins did a thing. Let's wait for it, let's wait for it. Here we go, here we go, here we go, here we go. They're gonna do a thing, they're gonna do a thing! Okay, it wasn't exactly the thing I thought they were doing. Oh hey, look, it's the more Sony shit. I have to pull the triggers, and then I have to, next, like, while I'm holding the controller, do it like this kind of thing. Hey, don't steal my shirt! Oh, hey, there's, like, panels there. Interesting. Thank you for the Hyper Himbo, though. I greatly appreciate it. So, how's it going, Kahlua, if you mind me asking? No, don't make me bold! Hi there, Lester. Welcome to the stream. Hopefully you're doing alright. Welcome, welcome. Ow. He popped me like a balloon! Oh, here we go again. Whee! You doing okay? That's good, that's good. Treasure! And then... Oh, that one I think is Shadow of the Colossus or something like that. Horn Protectors, stick to the shadows. Yeah, that sounds like a Shadow of the Colossus thing. No, 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 no! Oh, missed that. There we go. There we are, and then... There we are, and then jump across to here. Monkey bars. Oh, okay. Okay, cool. So it doesn't seem like we need two. Oh, that's right, it's electric. I can't punch him even with the monkey. Aiko is the other character from the game? Noted. Making mistakes, Grant! You're making mistakes! There we go. Alright, so I'm missing one of the bots then. I'm missing a bot. Well, this is a good opportunity to backtrack and see what I'm missing. Not that kind of backtrack. So it was between Aiko and Shadow the Colossus over there for whatever. Oh, I think I see them. I think I see them over there. I think I saw them. They're like hanging from the gallows from the looks of it or something. Yeah, do you see them? Oh, wait, no, those are probably dead bodies. Yeah, those are dead bodies. Damn. Okay, so alright, so not what I was thinking. Hey, have you ever seen Happy Tree Friends? I've heard of them, and I'm not interested. Alright, so they're not... So what am I missing? How am I missing... Okay, is it because of this, perhaps? Yeah, it's because of this. Hey, it's, oh, you didn't have the thing I was thinking of. Okay, never mind. It's just a random what's-a-magoosey. Alright, collected all the bots this time. We're able to... Now we're able to progress. Now we're able to move on. Just such a cute little mini game. It's fun. It's just so cute. There we go. Okay, so I need to, like, actually... You gotta go now? Good night, guys. Not to worry, Phantom. Thank you for dropping in for as long as you could. I really appreciate it. There we go. Get rid of you. Jump. There we go. Oh, I gotta be quicker. There we go. Monkey! Monkey! Alright, so the only puzzle piece I'm missing is the one at the beginning of the thingy because I did not aim for it correctly. Okay, so I have to be right on top of it. There we go. Monkey! Ow. Captain Pincher! Now! Now I have to do this all over again. Oh, not again. Oh my gosh. Alright, locking in now. Locking in. That was even worse than last time! Oh, you gotta be kidding me. I gotta time that shit. Alrighty, here we go. This definitely feels like a Shadow of the Colossus callback. Yes, it does. I've never played Shadow of the Colossus, so I only have your authority to go by. I'm an idiot. Oh, I'm an idiot. Just let me do my thing. Once again, wrestling with the camera because they decide to put him... They decide to put his arm... Hi! Cookie for Atomica! Here's your cookie. They decide to put his fucking, what's-a-mahoozy thing so close. It's only 8:30! I should not be having this poor of a skill. Here we go. Okay, cool. I only had to do that once. I only had to do that once. There we go. Oh, goodness. I got all the robots, and the monkey got his banana. Climbing around on a big enemy to hunt down weak points is very Shadow the Colossus. Ah, okay. There we go. Oh my god, 2,129 coins. If only this game gave me some way to utilize these coins. Lo and behold, they do. Lo and behold, they do give me a means to use these coins. They have a gotcha thing in this game. Also, look at this. Like while it's like loading and such, you just do that. You can do some silly things like that. Okay, we got now. And we got like 2 more in there. And look at this, we now have the gotcha station. Here we go, so... Cool, pop-up pals, neat. A comfortable couch, nice, so we got them out of the way. Hey, we got Solid Snakes' box. Good for him. An irresistible bait for a monkey. Crate hammer for Rivet. The nostalgia box. Lawn chair is for the monkey. Cookies for what's-a-mahoozies. Contemplating. Oh my god, so many things. Oh, blend in a box. Nice. Another. Oh my god, so many bananas. Apex. Yep, cool. Ah, the wisecracking sidekick. That's for the Jack and Dexter. Aw. They now have like a little cloth thing. Weird cat-looking fucker. Alrighty. Alright, so now he has like a little butterfly thing. And he's got... Oh, he's got like a good little meal. That's cute. That's cute. Alright, what's these guys doing? Carrying data. Astro Bot. Crystal. Sylvester Crystal. Alright, Pepper the Rapper wants something, you want something, you got something. Good for you. Then you got your cookies. You got your... But yeah, look at all these monkeys. Look at all these apes. They escaped. Alright, you want something. Nice. Alright, this is cool. Alright, now how do I get you? Is the question. Ah, that easily. Okay. And then you want something. And then Psycho Mantis is doing this thing. Cute! There we go. Everyone just struggling. Hey, that's Spyro! Fiery Artisan, that's just Spyro. You don't need to do like fucking made up. That's just Spyro right fucking there. You're not gonna fool us. Oh, a Fiery Artisan. Last spotted in the Skylands. Who could this be? It's fucking Spyro is what it is. Purple dog. If I had any dragon friends, I'd tell them you call them dogs. Alright, let's see. What's their thing? What are they gonna do? What are they gonna do? Oh, okay. Come on, come on, come on, come on, come on. There we go. And then we need 20 here. To climb up here. Nice, 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 nice. To get ourselves another rescue thing. Hey, it's Inuyasha, the celestial painter, the physical incarnation. Ink. What are dragons if not scaly dogs? Okay, fair enough. And now we got ourselves Amatetsu. Sorry. Go. That's another bot rescue. 100? Oh, fucking ridiculous. Alright, let's just go for 20 here. go. A creative cursor to make your dreams come true. Is this supposed to be for like when Sony tried to make their own Roblox thing and it was like Dream something? Like, could that be it? Because it's either that cursor or it's like some sort of iToy nonsense. Who the fuck knows? Yep, no, there's nothing up there, so... Alright. Whee! Alright, so we only need 8 more puzzle pieces. And that will give us the dual speeder garage. Nice. Oh, look, there's Spyro. Don't know what that is. I think it's something to do with, like, their Dream Forge, or whatever the fuck it was called. Alright, so I got all the puzzles, and I'm missing 4? I'm missing 4 of them from here. So that was a completion. I got all of them from there. I'm just missing the nebula thingamajiggy. I'm missing 2 from there. Oh, hello, 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 hello. There we go. Crumble, rumble. Crumble, rumble. Alright, let's see what they're... Alright, I see what they want me to do. And I jumped too soon. Oh, I didn't jump without much of a gap. Oh, really? That's it? Alright, that's clearly for the American the ABNA, the American National Baseball Association, when they decide to make, or NBA, is that what it is? Either way, baseball. I wanna play baseball. All right. So, yours is a weird nebula nonsense. You, however, I'm actually missing 2, like, thingies, so... We're gonna go through you next. Look at this, you can go, like, left and right and left and right. Oh, I don't have enough coin. Okay. Oh, hey, it's got an ice cream thing this time. That one's kind of silly. I like it. Ooh, interesting. Hang on. I don't remember. This part was... There you are! Alright, I found one of them. like opened up that thing in the baby. Alright, let's go back through here, just in case we're missing anything. Doesn't look like I'm missing anyone. Alright, so not from there. Hey! Why you gotta do this to me? Why'd you wanna look at my ass? Bald, bald, bald! The absolute disrespect I get from everyone. They just want me bald. So, I'm missing one, and I'm missing a nebula thing. Where in the world could they go? Oh, hang on. There we go. That would have done something. Hopefully that would have done something. Yeah, okay. That's it. Those balls are dripping dots, aren't they? I think they're dipping dots of some sort. There we go. Oh. That was not what I was expecting. That wasn't what I was thinking it was gonna take me to. Ah! Aha. A lost galaxy. Funky fungi. Alright, well we got more, like, you know, of the bots to find, so that's fine. There we go. Comes from a long line of candle smashers. Belmont? Must be a Belmont. Sounds like it. Richter, yeah. Richter Belmont. There we go. Puzzle piece number 1. A lot of spinning in this one. Ooh, okay. Oh, that's cool. Look at this. It lights up when you run over it. Same as all these. Nice. There we go, that's one of you. Although I am missing one from earlier, it seems. Hopefully it's not one that's like too far away. Hey, Bloodborne! I know that one. Okay, is he in the first slot? Yeah, he's in the second slot. Yarum Taurus, destined for greatness. Yep. There we go. Shame we're never gonna get another Bloodborne. Like, I don't know what Sony is doing, but they're not giving us Bloodborne, even though like, they've been putting a lot of games onto their PC, and I know a lot of people would want Bloodborne on their PC. And then puzzle piece number 2, which means all the puzzle pieces are done, which means we're only looking for more of the bots. God damn it. Halo is now on PC. Okay, Halo has always been on PC. That's not like, you know, a new thingy-madiggy. That's something that's happened. Also, do I have to go through here again? Hang on. Okay, no, but I didn't need to, but it's nice for the additional coin. There we go. There we are. Alright, I'm looking for 2. Alright. hopefully isn't impossible. Maybe it's in here. Ah, okay. Hey, it's another, that's another, what's-a-mahoozy Castlevania character. The Dandy Dapir, the opposite of his father. Clearly that's Alucard. Hi there, Alkiris, welcome to the stream. I'm going through the Astro Bot because that was gifted by my mom on my birthday and I really appreciate it. I have not played a lot of the PlayStation games, so some of these I do know, but others I will not have too much of a good idea. So, yeah, if you can figure out what many of them are, that's cool. All right. Also, okay, yeah, I just need the final one then. So yeah, I'm just picking up some bots. Failed. How's it going on? Can we get a shout out for the Alcaris, please? She's a wonderful. She's been doing streaming a lot longer than I have, and she's a wonderful streamer. I don't stick around in their streams too long, unfortunately. I'm sorry to say, but they're still good. Nice, thank you. There we go. Cookie! Here's your cookie. Oh, there's the final one. Okay, I know what I need to do. Alright, so we need to jump square. Okay, so maybe we need to do it from a greater height. Alright, cool. Hang on. There we go. That's all of the robots. There we go. Nice. I like how your lasers on the jump can actually be used as an attack as well. It means that when you do like runs like those. Nice. And then we spin. Making our way back up to the top. Five new robots! Oh, you darn dolphin. You bamboozled me. Alright, so that's that one complete. So that one was so that Lost Galaxy was by accident, because what I was actually doing was I was trying to get the missing bots from this one here. There's one bot that I'm missing, unfortunately, and it's a bit of a tricky... I'm having a bit of a tough time trying to find them. So... But I think I have enough, like, I have enough coin now where I can go for the canary bird. And I think that bird will help me, honestly. So we're gonna see how it goes. There we go. So that uses 200 points. There we go. Yeah, so we already did the secret thingy-majiggy because of breaking that open. Oh, hello. Okay, so it's down below somewhere? Is it below me? Oh, it's that little thingy-majiggy. Okay, hang on. Oh, and then it. Okay. Get over here. There we go. So you do your thingy-majiggy there, and then I spin down here. There we go. That I cannot believe I missed. Alright, now I can blitz through this nonsense. Now I can just, you know, run through this like nobody's deal. Balls. There we go. Breaks that. Get ourselves some more coin. Whee! There we go. We got all the balls. I think it's bedtime for me. You have a good night, Zeebs? Oh, it's getting close to nighttime for me. We'll do like one more. What's Mahoozy? One more. We'll do like one more quote unquote planet. Oh, I just realized why this thing feels like, you know, it's a fun little thing. This is feeling very much like Super Mario Galaxy when I played it back in Canada with, like, a niece or something. I didn't play through all of, Ooh, hello? Ding. There we go. Hey, we found ourselves a planet. Retro Rampage. Alright, let's have a look. Let's see. What's up? Oh my god, it's Minecraft. Are you seriously gonna... No, they wouldn't... No. No, they must be thinking... I must be thinking of a different pixel thingamajiggy. They're not... Oh, that's, Ken? Monkey See, Monkey Rescue. Nice. You have defeated this dragon punch to stand... You must defeat his dragon punch to stand a chance. It is Ryu? Nice. I thought it was Ken for a second. Bam! I love how I, like, broke a tree as I did that as well. Clearly you guys are liking this, because you're able to be like, nope, that's Ryu. I saw multiple of you just be like, that's Ryu. Nice. Alright, and then this one had like a secret spot, but I'm not going to look for that one. We are going to look... We're going to go to a new galaxy and check out another... what's Moozy? So, this one here, we were missing one of the puzzles at the start. This one here is Downsize Surprise. So we're going to go for an entirely new planet. We're going to see how we do. It's Street Fighter 1 Ryu. Nice. Alright, let's see which ones you guys recognize here, okay? We got cheese. Mouse. Ah! Oh, it makes us small. Okay, okay. Okay, no. So there isn't like something... We don't discover something because of us being small. Oh, but... Ah, okay. So by being small, we get to use... There we go. And then... There we go, there we go. So far, so good. Oh, and it makes little noises as well. I didn't know you were going to electrocute. That's unfair. Oh, hey, a mouse thing. Oh my god, look at all these cats! Cats! There we go. Alright. And then... Giant coins. There we go. Breaking the pizza boxes. Apples. Alright, so we got our first... Okay, so that's our second bot. So the first bot is somewhere else. Alrighty. Oh, there he is. I see him. I see him. There we go. That's how they wanted us to do that. Alright, that's another bot rescued. Nice, nice, nice. Okay, so there is an advantage to, like, going small and then big again. That's good. Oh, and then spin. Nice. Okay. Nice, 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 nice. More coin for me, sir. Please, sir, can I have some more? Oh, hey, there's a thingamadoogie here. Alright. Honestly, this is just a cool... Like, there would be so many video games. There would be a video game that would try and make, like, an entire game just on this mechanic here of, like, oh, you shrink and you get bigger. Look at him. Silly little guy. What a silly little guy. Yep. Alright, I was right on that assumption. And then this one, we do the same thing. Yeah, so there's like puzzles that you can only do while small, and then there's like... He hit his head. He hit his head on the fucking, like, thingamadickies. Oh, hey! Cheese! Ow. No sleep. Three. Is there any others? Yes, there we go. Oh, hey, there's a dinosaur! Alright, we got 3 more bots to report. No, it's just bugs. Okay. Meanwhile, that bird is having a wonderful time. I wonder what the bird's for. There isn't any, like, quote-unquote threats while you're small, I'm finding. I might be wrong. It might be a case of there are threats. That's weird. Oh, you're, blah, blah, Royal Roller. They'll make you a star. Kamagawe, or... No, not Kamagawe. What's the... Words fail me. So you're for lock-picking purposes. Jump. Oh, there we go. Oh, I have to do one of these. Okay. Okay, stay on the ball, stay on the ball, stay on the ball. Preview. Alright, one last bot and that's this level done. Oh, that would do it. Oh, I'm just so good at this platforming. I'm finally getting it. Kind of wish Sony would release this on PC. I don't think they will because of the fact that there's like so many like, you know, moving the controller around mechanics, and the fact that I've, you know, also used the mic. So there's that as well. So I think they're gonna, like the Astro Playroom, I think they're gonna keep this as a hello. That one I don't know. The Intrepid Rodent. She's a real page turner. Alright. So yeah, like this is why consoles have first-party developers and what have you. Is so then that way, games like these would be more often released and what have you, and it was all to play into. Oh, we're missing a puzzle. Hang on a second. I think I know exactly where it went. Yep, I know where it went. Here. I want to just like get bigger. Oh, I see what they want me to do. Alright, so I got the second hand there, and it wants it to, like, you know, Moss, maybe? Wait, what do you mean? Oh, you mean the mouse thing that we thought. Yeah, maybe. I don't know who Moss is. Right now, I'm just waiting for... oh my god, they're just playing on like a tiny little thing. But yeah, I'm just waiting for the second hand to tick, just so then that way I can like get up to that thing. Because it wants to be annoying, and clearly the only other way of getting onto it is waiting a minute. Tick, 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 tick. There we go. That's all 3 puzzles in this area done. Whee! And break open the thing and ruin the bird's nest. All 7 of them. Mine. Lovely. Yeah, so that had like a galaxy thing. I'm missing a puzzle piece from that. Alright, I am actually gonna call it here. I have been loving... actually, hang on a second. What's this thing? Oh, it's just like a fun little like nebula thing. Look at that. Oh, hello. What in the world? Okay, that is something for next time, I imagine. I am most certainly going to be playing this game again. I have been having so much fun, and I hope you guys have been having fun too, like recognizing some of the PlayStation characters and what have you that I don't recognize and what have you. So yeah, fun for the both of us. I will be back online tomorrow morning, so in around about like 12 hours, you're gonna find me playing the critically acclaimed MMORPG Final Fantasy XIV. Did you know the critically acclaimed MMORPG Final Fantasy XIV comes with a free trial, allowing you to go through the entirety of A Realm Reborn and the award-winning Heavensward and award-winning Stormblood expansions up to level 70 with no restrictions on playtime. You should join me tomorrow as I go through more of the MSQ. For now, though, we're going to call it here, and I am going to have a look and see who we can go and raid. This was honestly fun. I loved it. It was like my first playthrough. Ooh, it looks like Kaizi is doing some Ghost of Tsushima. I reckon that's going to be good. Alright, let's get ready to raid. Oh, wait. No, hang on. Cancel that. What are they... oh, they're in a BRB screen. How long ago did they go onto the BRB screen is the question. 909. Did they do it because of the advertisement? Because it looks like there was like an advertisement thingamajiggies. You shill the game almost as much as me. Look, if they paid me, I'd say it way more often, don't get me wrong. But what's more is, like, I feel like it's just a tism thing, or it's just like, yeah, I can know this verbatim. Back in, like, middle school or something like that, when we were on camp, I just, you know, reiterated to myself the entirety of the first Madagascar film, because I was bored out in the wild, and I was like, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna just repeat the entirety of the Madagascar film to myself. It'll be like I'm watching the film. I convert people on a bi-monthly basis. Nice. I need to try and get more people converted, so then that way I can give them my friend code and be like, hey, did you know the critically acclaimed MMORPG Final Fantasy XIV? Alright, it looks like they're still on break for a while. That's a shame. I was hoping they would... I was hoping they'd get out of it at some point. Ooh! Puffin is streaming again! Puffin is streaming again. We're gonna go, oh, raid into Puffin. That should be a good one. You'll get back into it eventually. Not to worry, not to worry. Alright, we're gonna go for our classic Himbo raid message. I hope you'll join in with me on that one. If you don't have the emotes, then you're welcome to use whichever other kind of emotes you want. I'm totally fine with it. Otherwise, I just gotta say thank you everyone who came along to tonight's stream. I greatly appreciate it. I'll be back online in about 12 hours for Final Fantasy XIV, as I've got more of the MSQ to go through. But otherwise, I hope you all have a good morning, afternoon, evening, night, wherever you are. And we'll go raid into Puffin, and hopefully I'll see you all next time. Bye for now.